And we are back. Very sorry for this technical difficulties. Hammer, do you have the moves on the board in the meantime?
No, there are no moves on the board, so we're gonna have to do it manually. So far, Alexandra's opponent, Alexandra played the French. Her opponent played 2d3. And after d5, knight d2, Alexandra's played c5.
All right.
Andrea's board is a bit too far for me, but I'll try to find it elsewhere.
Say again, what are the moves for Alexandra? I'll put them on the board.
E4, E6, D4, E4, E6, D3, D5, knight. Yeah.
Wow, what is that?
Alexandra, well, it's the King's Indian attack. I thought you literally played this as white.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I respect it.
Sure.
Yeah, I do. I actually do. It's quite different now to see the real playing hall from the Spain, where we had only the sea view. I don't know if you tuned in for that one.
Well, I would assume the view of the sea is better, right?
Yeah, definitely. Much better. All right. How is everybody doing today? In the meantime.
Okay, I got Andrea's game now up on my end at least. Andrea's position, she's playing, her opponent is playing some kind of
Oh, there we go.
perch. It does seem like there's a move delay from the venue.
Yeah, that's possible.
Because the moves are not popping up on chess.com. And in Andrea's case, it's going to be a slightly tricky deciphering what the first couple of moves were.
Yeah, we don't really see.
We're almost there now, Dina. We just need to get some moves in.
Yeah, all right. Can you help me with this one?
Yeah, so in Alexandra's game, Alexandra played c5, and then knight f3, knight c6.
Okay.
And then her opponent played g3.
G3, okay.
Yeah, and Alexandra played g6.
Nice. So getting into something familiar, I hope.
Well, I'm not sure it's familiar. G6, I'm definitely not the one who's recommended this, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Essentially, black is trying to control the e5 square very early on. And one of white's main plans in these pawn structures is trying to push their pawn to e5. So by fianchettoing her bishop and having the bishop put pressure in towards the e5 square, Alexandra is trying to make that pawn advance tricky for white to accomplish. Alexandra had a game in Reykjavik in this line where she got absolutely destroyed. So I think that's part of the part of what has prompted her to look for something different.
Makes sense. And let's try to recreate Andrea's moves if we can. I don't know how much you can see from the camera.
Yeah, so I think her moves are easy, and then trying to understand her opponent's moves is a little bit more tricky. So I assume it started out d4.
Okay.
D4, D6, E4, G6, Knight C3, Bishop G7, Bishop E3, something like this.
Right.
But then her opponent has been very weird in his development, or rather, his non-development. So he's played A6. And then something like Queen D2. And even though he played A6, taking control over the B5 square. Yeah, I said A6.
Oh, it was A6, right.
And even though he took control over the B5 square, he didn't want to push that pawn 2 squares forward.
Sort of modern, but not very modern.
Sorry?
Sort of modern, but not very modern.
Yeah, so I mean, this way of playing, these exact moves are known the last couple of years as the Tigers Modern, because there's a Swedish grandmaster, Tiger, named after one of the characters. Well, many of the characters in Winnie the Pooh, but never mind that. He's a bit of an eccentric, and he popularized this way of playing, and he published a book on it called Tigers Modern. But then pushing the pawn to b5 was his key, that black would expand their pawns on the queen side. But instead, Dario did Dario. He chooses to go b6 instead, only one step forward with that pawn. And then Andrea... Well, Andrea went queen d2.
Okay. Well, I like when Andrea is developing her pieces, taking the center and doing all the right things, you know?
Yeah. So then b6, f3, knight d2, castles, and h6. Black has been very passive in the way he's developing his pieces. I wouldn't even say he's developing his pieces because, well, frankly, he's only moving his pawns on the side of the board. But yeah, he's trying to set up this hippopotamus opening.
Right.
And he's just doing it in a slightly surprising fashion.
Surprising fashion.
So knight d2, knight d7.
Knight d7,
castles,
yeah.
h6.
h6. Nice. Damn, Andrea already has an advantage.
Yeah, no, her opponent is letting her really take control in the center of the board. And I think this suits Andrea quite well. Andrea likes to attack, and the fact that her opponent hasn't put any pressure on her position, it means that her ability to be very aggressive, which is her go-to style, will not be punished the way her opponent is playing right now.
Nice. That's amazing. All right, and I see Alexandra is thinking.
Yeah, but we had a couple more moves there, and I gotta say I'm not super happy about at least one of them. But yeah, no, maybe I'm wrong. So Alexandra went. Well, her opponent must have gone Bishop G2 and castles.
Let me try to put that. So here, Bishop G2. And what did Alexandra do? Bishop G7, I assume?
Yeah. Bishop G7, castles, Knight F6, C3.
Knight F6, C3, okay.
And yeah, basically Alexandra is trying to make it difficult for white to advance in the center of the board. But with the latest move, white is preparing to push those pawns anyway. So this could become a slightly unpleasant position for Alexandra, but she should be fine in general.
I have to say, when I see sisters put the pawns in the center and develop their pieces and castle, which we might see for Alexandra. Oh, there she goes, castling! Yay! You know, it's like life becomes so much better.
Yeah, no, having Alexandra castle within the first 10 moves is a rarity, isn't it? And Andrea has pushed her pawn to G4, so she's eyeing the prize already, seizing this moment to be very aggressive.
Oop. Here he responds with, is it Bishop B7?
Yeah.
It is Bishop B7.
Dario's king is gonna have a visitor soon. Yeah, I don't know. It's these guys who played this hippopotamus opening, they're eager to allow their opponents to put pressure. And sometimes if you don't attack it the right way, you can end up in some trouble. So I'm interested in seeing how Andrea is going to handle this for the next couple of moves, because other than pushing her pawns forward on the king side, it's not really clear what the next step is for white.
All right. Yeah, I am. I mean, it's hard to be disappointed with the outcome of the openings here. Honestly, I don't remember ever during the Spain tournament if we had such a great outcome.
Well, we'll see. It's still early days.